Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Galley La Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 270, A Dream's End. My name is Geboss, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Akainu Fanboy.
Yo.
And this is the penultimate chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. So,
Woohoo!
yeah, celebrate while you can. I have thoughts, but anyways, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Let us know what you thought of the chapter, and let's just get right into it. So, we see Shoko and Megumi at I guess it's Tsubiki's grave. I thought it was going to be
very memorable character.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be Gojo's grave because, again, we still don't get like any talk about him dying, like how it's affected everyone. So I feel like that's kind of a letdown still.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Agreed.
I will say just overall for the chapter, I enjoyed this a lot more than the previous one. Like, I feel like if the previous chapter was just kind of like half of it showing Yuta going back to his body and everyone kind of celebrating that and then kind of doing character interactions, because we didn't need to be told that Yuta got back into his body. He could have shown it instead.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like seeing like everyone's wrapping up in this last chapter. It's kind of a back to basics. But yeah, what do you think of this little interaction here?
Okay, so I like how it's like a wrap up and with character stuff. It's just like, so I do like the structure. I think it's good. I think characterization is what's lacking. But because it was lacking, when you get to wrap up chapters like these, the emotion doesn't really hit as much because, like, you can't just salvage everything with just, like, one chapter, you know? So it's like, we see all these various characters from the Calling games, which I thought were actually, like, pretty cool characters, but, like, I don't care about them at the same time. You know, I think, like, I used to care about a lot of the main cast, but I especially don't really care about the Calling games characters. So you're spending like the second to last chapter wrapping up stuff with this where it's like, okay, but I mean, I just kind of feel like you're just screwed at this point, you know, like you can't develop emotional attachments to, like, you know, recapping or like, you know, sending off these characters in a way like, oh, I really care about like what happens at the, you know, to these characters at this point in time now, you know, like just with this whole cast. It's like, and I know the series is capable of it because, like, with the whole Nekamaru thing, I thought that was heartbreaking and everything like that, you know. But like, we're at this point now where the characters having any emotional attachment to a lot of these characters has just been, probably the last time was like maybe Shibuya, you know, and now we introduce all these other characters who weren't developed at all either, you know. So and I mean, and with my criticisms of Naruto are significant, like at least like kind of with the, you know, when you're just kind of closing all these characters towards the end of that series, like it's like, oh, that's kind of nice, like Shikamaru's with Tamari, like that's kind of cool, you know, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know, I feel like the end of Naruto was very like last minute. Like you had the big fight with Sasuke, and then you had like one chapter of wrap up where they pardon Sasuke and then he leaves the village, and then it's a time skip and you see everyone in the future. I kind of would have wished that it was kind of slowed down more like this.
No, so so I agree with all that. I'm just saying that there's more of an emotional connection with the characters in Naruto, where even if it was like a little rushed towards the end with like recapping like the character story and sending them off, like we can rely on that pre-existing characterization to make up for the rush ending with it. That's just kind of what I'm saying. Like compared to this, we just maybe got it in the beginning / Shibuya, and then we didn't get anything, and then now we're just here, and it's like, well, we're sending off these characters that I just don't really feel much for anymore. You know, at this point,
I feel like there was still decent characterization, all the way up through. I want to say once Kenjaku was killed. I feel like the story was on a good point, but then after Kenjaku was killed and we focused mainly on the Sukuna fight, it was just kind of just fighting, and then the wrap up is very abrupt.
Well, like
there's a lot of wasted potential. Let's say that.
Yeah, maybe that's a good way of saying it. Like, so Panda was developed pretty well, even though he didn't really have much of a moment towards the end, you know, for sure. I just didn't like how Maki got a lot of focus. I just didn't really like the direction her character went. I think we lost a lot of like kind of the cool uniqueness that came from her character, you know, and her like the wittiness and things like that too, and just kind of became like, you know. I
do like in this chapter, I do like how we finally remember about the katana guy and the sumo guy. From the
I'm not against it.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. You know, it's just like when so many of like your previous characters are just so down bad. You know, like Inumaki, right? Just completely wasted potential, you know, and he was like a huge focus on him from film 0 to the first couple seasons, you know, the first season, and then like Shibuya, he just gets thrown in the dustpan of history, you know.
I think that has to do with his power, because his power can be a bit of a tricky one to write against, you know, because he can basically do anything.
No, I mean, I agree, but at the same time, like, you can write the story where he could still be a part of it, and you still, because, like, you know, I did, like, enjoy his character a lot. I liked his interactions with Yuta, and they're very brief towards the end, unfortunately, you know, and just, like, another note, too, is, like, I just realized, like, out of the third-year students, there was, like, only 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I'm so glad that we got a wrap up for Charles Bernard with his manga, and we don't get anything in this chapter about Hikari. Hikari gets the shaft again.
Again.
Yeah, we don't even see him like doing anything with like his fighting thing, if he went back there or not, or because I don't know if he would go back to Jujutsu High. I don't know if that would be in his character, because like the only reason that I feel like the only reason that he went he helped out was because of Gojo and everyone. So with Gojo gone, I don't feel like he would go back. So I would like to know where he's at compared to some of the other things that we got in this chapter. But because we do get like one brief scene of like Kamo coming back because he literally was like he pieced out of fighting Sukuna, so yeah, and we got a whole couple pages with like Amai apologizing to that one guy in his flashback, and it's like it's a nice little character moment, but I feel like it could have been shortened,
like a cover story or something, you know. You know what I mean, like,
yeah,
because okay, I don't mean to take up too much time, but I just want to quickly go through the characters that are gonna need like their character send off done by the last chapter. Okay, so we got Miwa, we got Nishima, the witch girl, right? Toto, Ino, maybe not. I don't, not really, probably. Obviously the main big 3, you know, having their proper send off: Panda, Yuta, Unamaki, Maki, Hikari, right? Hoshi, and I guess you could say Shoko already had her send off here.
Yeah, you know? I did like her little thing where she finally quit smoking.
I did. Yeah, no, that was cool. It's kind of weird she said that she didn't believe in an afterlife You literally interact with the dead in spirit. It's like all the time. Like an afterlife is just like whatever. Anyways, and then Kusakabe. Okay. And that doesn't even bring up all the other like various characters like Miguel and everything for their recap, like their send off and stuff. So we have to like cover all these characters in one chapter now for a send off.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it says at the end of the chapter that's going to be like a full cover spread, and I hope that it gets like a little bit more pages than 20 pages because we need to finish up like this whole curse investigation that they're on, and
that's gonna take up time. And so we have to cover. That's just the main cast right there, though. And that was like what, probably 14-ish characters right there.
Yeah, it's a handful. It's quite a handful.
Yep.
But speaking of plot resolutions, I hate how the whole Tengen thing was handled.
Yeah.
So it says like the previously consumed Master Tengen was found among Sukuna's remains after he was torn from Fushiguro's body. I was like, I thought Sukuna first of all just like vanished in a puff of smoke. Like and he ate his old body, so I thought that he was like, his spirit was in Fushiguro, so how did he leave behind any remains? As like, not just a cursed spirit. So, and then it's like, oh, so long as Sukuna's remnants are there, he's like acting as the new Tengen, even though it's just like a body. Which we did kind of see, like Tengen's body was in like that vault as well, but it kind of, it's like, okay, so why was Tengen so important then? Because that kind of undermines the whole Gojo's flashback arc.
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of poorly written because there was that whole theory that like Yuji could become the next Tengen, and I think even you suggested that like Yuta could be because he was so powerful.
Yeah, well, that's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, and then they straight up say like, "Oh yeah, the culling game's over." And it's like,
that's it.
Yeah. What? There's like no resolution. There was the whole build up. Like usually, when an author kind of foreshadows something, like that big monster that Kenjaku, when he was like showing Choso what could potentially happen. Like when an author plants that there, it's usually so that it can be expanded on in the future. Whereas this, it was kind of just dropped. So that was disappointing.
Then there was the whole thing where Megumi had to be killed for the culling games, right? And everything like that.
Only the culling game only ends if if something with Fushiguro and Geto. Yeah, I think we talked about that in our previous reviews.
That wasn't resolved how they got out, though.
Yeah.
Because it never happened.
Yeah. But, so, another thing, we finally get the confirmation that Takaba's alive and everything, which I'm fine with. I like his character. But we get to see, like... Okay, so what did you take away from this? Because I read a theory that kind of explains it. Because we see who he's talking to. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I don't care. Like, I mean, like, because I don't think there's like a well thought out theory behind it. Because it's just like a rushed free for all, and it's just like they're throwing in something for the sake of being in there. But sorry, maybe I'm being too negative. Sorry.
Well,
continue.
Well, one way, because I was like, I was kind of in your boat. I was like, well, what is happening? Why is Geto here? Why is it Geto? Is it Kenjaku? What is this? And someone said, I was reading something, and someone said that this could possibly be Takaba's powers, because Takaba's powers can basically create anything that he finds funny, and because Kenjaku and him like did that whole routine at the end of their quote unquote battle, that this is like his funniest thing is Kenjaku being his partner. So he's kind of like alive through his powers.
Geto's body will literally never rest till the end of time.
Well, I think it's just a construct because we've seen how he
I'm
constructed anything.
I'm just joking. Geto's like, leave me the hell alone, please.
Yeah, but that's the biggest. That's the way that I can best rationalize it.
Was that Geto's hell basically? Because he tried to choke Kenjaku with that possession. He's like, please, I don't want this to happen. Like, I'm gonna try to kill you and this. And then now Takaba's like, yo, like, now you're with me. He's like, stop. Damn it, stop.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I did kind of like Higuruma's finale, even though it was kind of rushed because they said, oh, they're not going to prosecute you. It's like, why? He straight up killed 2 people.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense, like, how his... since everyone knows about Jujutsu sorcery now, that they can use his ability, his domain, to rightfully convict people. So that kind of brings his character to kind of a close, because when we were first introduced to him, we got to see how he was, like, so depressed because... innocent people kept getting proclaimed guilty and everything, so I do kind of like that wrap up there.
Yeah, no, that was good. I didn't have an issue with that. One thing I do find weird is like it just kind of feels like his business as usual. Like I like them going back to the basics, like, hey, we gotta exercise this curse. This is cool, you know. But it just kind of feels like, okay, you took out the big bad. And we always talked about this idea of like whether it's Geto's dream, right, or like when it came to Yuki's dream, also, like, but like nothing's changed substantially at this point. It just kind of seems like, okay, yeah, we had this big apocalyptic event, but like her spirits are business as usual, and it's like, okay, so nothing's substantially changed.
Yeah,
even though Geto was like, you know, like one of the big antagonists that tried to change everything and it didn't work. Like nothing changed at all through this whole thing.
Well, I think
businesses.
Yeah. Well, I think the implications were kind of brought up about like the overall state of the world, because everyone knows about Jujutsu sorcery now, and like Maki was saying about how like Tokyo and Shibuya were still like cordoned off, and like the US had kidnapped all those sorcerers, and they'll have to get them back. So it's like I would say like they're in a worse situation than when they started.
Yeah, I get that. But it just kind of feels like, I don't know. Like, I guess just on a philosophical level, nothing really changed, I guess. You know? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like there'd be some resolving there, but that didn't happen. And so it is just, I mean, I was just looking through the list of calling game participants. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many potential characters you could do a send-off for too there. Dude, which I'm not saying needs to happen, but it's kind of terrifying to think like, oh yeah, we're going to cover even more all these guys. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know.
What do you think of Angel and her like sudden shipping thing with Fushiguro?
Why not? Why not?
I mean, there was some seeds there, but I don't know. It kind of feels like Fushiguro's doing this out of like guilt or something.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, for me, it kind of came out of nowhere. Well,
Maki, Yuta, Angel Girl, Fushiguro, and then whatever I don't know who Nobara. Nobara could be a panda. How about that? I don't know. Like we're just like at the point where nothing really matters to me. I'm sorry. Like it's just. Yeah. I don't, like I said, all those like main cast characters I just talked about. Like a lot of people are just gonna get screwed over. Like a lot of the characters are just gonna get screwed over next chapter, not having a good send off, which is kind of like depressing. I was like hoping for at least something.
Well,
like somewhat of a good send off.
I mean, there's still the theory because apparently after the end of the final chapter, there's going to be an announcement of something. So, could potentially be a sequel. It could be a worldwide popularity poll, like My Hero did. If I think it would be more like advertising, like the popularity poll. But if there were to be a sequel, do you think that it would resolve a lot of your worries about like your complaints about this?
We'll see.
That there's more.
We'll see.
But yeah, I feel like maybe half the next chapter is going to be dealing with this curse or whatever, and then maybe a flash forward. Who knows? But yeah, I think that if the last chapter is just like hunting down this curse or whatever, and everything's status quo, I feel like it's going to be a letdown.
I think it's going to be a letdown regardless, but that's just me. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be a letdown. Do people still think Gojo's coming back? Is that still a thing?
I hope not. I mean, we didn't get to see his grave at all. We didn't get to... I feel like if there were to be a grave, I feel like that would be the final thing. I feel like the Gojo fans are in the same boat that the Nobara fans were after the end of Shibuya. It's like, he's coming back. 271, he's coming back.
Yep.
But I really hope that he doesn't come back. And I hope they, like you said, they acknowledge him in some way.
Yeah.
Because it's weird.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's weird that they don't really acknowledge his death too much.
It's not like, he gave Yuta the meaning of life to continue on and not give up, or anything like that. But that's neither here nor there. So anyways, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Anything for you?
No. I mean, I think we'll kind of we'll give our final thoughts at the end of the next chapter if it's truly the end of the series. But yeah. Anyway, once again, like and subscribe if you like the content. Let us know what you thought of this chapter. If you have any thoughts, complaints, anything. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.
Peace.